With me now is Shavana Hassan, the Executive Director of Human Rights Watch. What is your observation here at the Munich Security Conference? There's great uncertainty about security, but what does that mean for human rights globally?
Well, I think one thing that we need to do is center the conversation around peace and security in human rights. You know, we know from decades of work in this area that any conversation about security cannot move forward unless there is a foundation in human rights, unless you are protecting the people who will be impacted by insecurity. And that is not part of the conversation, or it's certainly not as important a part of the conversation that we're seeing here. I think the world is currently distracted by bombastic statements that have been made by the US, and we are losing sight of the importance of centering these discussions in securing and defending open, free societies that are rights respecting.
Now the United States wants to shut down USAID. What kind of a signal is this sending to other nations, also in terms of supporting human rights and having even a conversation about human rights?
The cutting of USAID and the freezes that have taken place have a blast radius, which is beyond imagination. From Human Rights Watch, we know that our partners have had to stop their life-saving work, critical work in countries where it's most needed, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in situations like Gaza, in Sudan, have all been affected. And this is really, you know, it's a travesty. We've seen human rights defenders who relied on safe houses to ensure that they are not targeted by governments who are hostile to human rights. Those safeguards have just evaporated overnight. But we cannot sit here and lament the damage that is being done. We need to see European and global leaders stepping up to this challenge to meet this moment. You know, there are funding gaps that must be met, but a message must be sent to the US that these sort of actions are simply reckless and not representative of a responsible global partner.
Are you seeing anybody willing to step into that void that you're describing?
We are yet to see states step into this void, but there is a very worrying potential scenario that could expand, and that is that China is obviously lamenting the fact that there is now a gap and they can step in to fill it. And we know from China's human rights record that their intentions have often been to ensure that they are increasing their role on the international stage, but it's not a rights-respecting role. And I think that it was very evident yesterday after J.D. Vance's speech, which was a packed house here at the Munich Security Conference, but as soon as he entered, the room emptied. But the next speaker was just as consequential. It was Wang Yi from China, the foreign minister of China. And the fact that the world is not looking at what China is going to do in this vacuum that has been created by this withdrawal of the US is not only damaging, but it is short-sighted.
I've spoken to a couple of people, particularly in relation to defense and security, who are talking of a turning point at Zeitenwende at this Munich Security Conference. They mainly mean Ukraine. They mean the speech of J.D. Vance criticizing democracy. How would you label this year's Munich Security Conference in the conversations you've had here?
I have talked about the last year as a year of reckoning. And actually, I think that this Munich Security Conference is a moment of reckoning. The principles that we rely on for free, open societies, rights-respecting societies, are being challenged by the rhetoric of the new administration. And it is time for European leaders and for world leaders to step up, to recommit to these principles. Remember, when we talk about international law and human rights law, we're not talking about abstract concepts. We are talking essentially about laws and guardrails that were merged after one of the darkest periods of human history after the Second World War. These are our guardrails to our common humanity. When you start seeing powerful states stepping outside those guardrails and challenging what defines our common humanity, that is a call to action for governments all over the world to act now.
Which are the concrete hotspots where you would want to see action and someone step into a gap right now?
I mean, we have a huge vacuum when it comes to the degenerating situation, obviously, in the DRC. Sudan is barely making it onto the agenda. There have been some events here at Munich, but obviously what is top of mind for many people here is the outlandish proposals that have been put forward by the President of the United States around clearing out Gaza. I mean, let's make it very clear. The world needs to speak up and oppose what a preposterous proposal this is. Not only is removal of 2 million people a morally incomprehensible act, it is also a violation of international law, and it would implicate the United States and make them complicit in a crime under international law.
Tiran Hassan, Executive Director of Human Rights Watch, thank you very much.